In this video, we're going to look at how to analyze the properties of quadratics using the Desmos app or desmos.com. So in order to do so, first thing you want to do is you want to enter the equation of your function. So we are going to look at the function y equals 2x squared minus 4x subtract 32. And when we enter that, we can see that we can't quite see the whole graph. So what we want to do is we want to change our settings. I'm going to go to my graph settings here and just change my y value so that I can see a number which is down below what's currently shown. I'm going to set this to minus 40. When you do that, you can see that we can see the entire graph all the way down to its vertex here. So what else I can do is here is I can sort of change the axis a little bit, and I'm just going to put it in projector mode, which just makes things a little bit bigger. So if we want to find some coordinates on here, such as the coordinate of the vertex or the axis of symmetry, we can click at the bottom here, and you can see we get the point -1 and 34. That point is our vertex, and that means our axis of symmetry is at x equals 1. You can also see here I can click on my y-intercept when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 32. I can also click on these two coordinates, and that is going to give me my x-intercepts at -3.123 and 0 and 5.123 and 0. So we can find all of those coordinates just by clicking on the points on the graph. We can also figure out the value of y for any given x value. So suppose I enter something like x equals 5. When I put x equals 5, I click on the graph, and you can see when x is equal to 5, we get the intersection of these at 5 and -2. Then I can move this slider along and figure out what is the value of the function at x equals any point. So for example, at x equals 2, the function is equal to -32. If I go to x equals -2, you can see when x equals -2, the value of the function is equal to -16. So we can find any point of y, any value of y for any specific x value. Now, suppose we have a second curve that we want to investigate, like y equals -2 x squared plus 8. You can see automatically it sketches the second graph. Again, I can't see the maximum value of this function, so I'm going to change my graph settings and just make my y values go up a little bit larger, say up to 10. Now we can see that these two graphs definitely overlap, and our green graph, our second function here, has a maximum value. So if I click on the point here where they overlap, I get -2.7 and -6.57 is one point where they overlap, and -3.7 and -19.403 is the second spot where they overlap. Then if I wanted to find the vertex or the maximum of this function, I can click on the point here and see at 0 and 8, we have the maximum value of this function. So using Desmos as a graphing tool, we can identify a number of different properties of quadratics in a fairly efficient manner. Now, if you were doing something like this for an assignment and you wanted to show your graph, you can also share your graph by clicking the share arrow up here. And when you share it, it gives you a number of different options that allows you to export the image, print the image, or if you saved it, to share it as a link, a web link. So Desmos is a pretty valuable tool that allows us to simply describe and show the properties of different types of functions.